शुक्लं वरदरं विष्णुं शशिवर्णं चतुर्भुजं प्रसन्नवदनं ध्यायेत् सर्वविघ्नोपशान्तये पूर्णसुगुणार्णवने अनघपरमेश्वरने ಆನಮಿಪೆ ನಿನಗೆ ಆನಂದಮಯ ವಿಷ್ಣು ನಿನ್ನಯ ಸುಮಹಿಮೆಗಳ ನಿನ್ನಿಚ್ಛೆಯಿಂದಲೇ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ತಿಳಿಸಿಯ ಚಿನ್ನ ಭಕ್ತಿಯ ನೀಯೋ ಬುದ್ಧಿರ್ಬಲಂ ಯಶೋಧೈರ್ಯಂ ನಿರ್ಭಯತ್ವಂ ಅರೋಗತ ಅಜಾಡ್ಯಂ ವಾಕ್ಪಟುತ್ವಂ ಚ ಹನುಮತ್ ಸ್ಮರಣಾತ್ ಭವೇತ್ पूज्याय राघवेन्द्राय सत्यधर्मरताय च भजतां कल्पवृक्षाय नमतां कामधेनवे दुर्वादिध्वान्तरवे वैष्णवेन्दिवरेन्दवे श्रीराघवेन्द्रगुरवे नमो अत्यन्तदयाळवे नारायणः पण्डितार्य श्रीमध्वविजयप्रदः त्रैविक्रमार्य दासस्तु पातां श्रीमध्ववर्त्मनि ನಾರಾಯಣ ಪಂಡಿತಾಚಾರ್ಯ ನಮಿಸಿ ನಮ್ಮ ಗುರುಗಳಾದ ಬನ್ನಂಜಿ ಗೋವಿಂದಾಚಾರ್ಯರಿಗೆ ನಮಿಸಿ ನಾವು ಧ್ಯಾನಮಾಲಾ ಅಂತ ಅನ್ನೋಂಥ ಈ ಕೃತಿಯನ್ನು ಮತ್ತೆ ನೋಡೋಣ. In the last session, due to a problem with the computer, we had to shut down abruptly. And in that session, we were looking at the verse number 14, which tells us about the beautiful mantapa inside the Sushumna Nadi and how it is decorated. Of course, this is going on in the past 3 verses. It started with the 12th one, that there is a very beautiful mandapa inside the Sushumna Nadi. And the Sushumna Nadi, before that it was contemplated in 2 or 3 verses, that it is in the center of the body. It is very brilliant. It's surrounded by 100 lighted nadis and it looks very beautiful, like the moon on a dark night sky which is surrounded by stars. And inside that Sushumna Nadi we contemplated on a very beautiful mantapa, and that mantapa is also glowing. The mantapa is also glowing inside that glowing Sushumna Nadi. And this mantapa is composed, it is decorated with lots of beautiful jewels. The jewels are, gems which have been strung into garlands, and these gems are decorated along the edges of the mantapa. They can be decorated on the pillars of the mantapa. It is your choice how you are going to decorate the mantapa. It is your choice. But the Acharya says that these gems are all beautiful, they are brilliant and they are shining, and these gems are radiant forever. For eternal time they are radiant. So the radiance of these gems signifies that they are something which is not related to the world. All the worldly things, they have been brought into being during creation, and then at the time of dissolution they will all go into the 3 gunas. It will become into a sukshma sthiti which is radiant forever and eternality. It must be something which is totally different. And everywhere we have seen and contemplated that Lakshmi Devi is always in the service of Paramatma, and her presence is what is to be contemplated. This is told by the seers. Now that same mantapa we have to contemplate further, that it is decorated with flowers. Next, first we decorated it with gems, with jewels. Now we are going to decorate with flowers. So the gems and jewels, just like when we do, when you decorate your own self, you first decorate with all the ornaments, and then after that you will decorate with the flowers and other stuff. Same way only this mantapa is first decorated with jewels. Then we also contemplated on these jewels to be the glories of God. They are the gunas of God, and each of us will have our own way of understanding the gunas of God in a way that relates to us. So we were thinking about the Karuna Guna, which I had told that you can think of the string of diamonds as the 100 diamonds of Karuna that Paramatma has bestowed upon us. And every day that would be different because it is so unique to you, and that would give you a feeling of gratefulness which is stressed upon again and again. The feeling that you are indebted to that Paramatma who has done so much of compassion and benefaction on you will generate that atmosphere inside your heart which is necessary for dhyana. Once you start thinking and contemplating in this way, and his vyapti. See, his vyapti is the reason that you are even able to talk. He is there in the shabda, sparsha, rasa, rupa, gandha, and he makes those things to be of value to you by being in the indriyas and by being in the vishyas. The contact of the indriya to the object results in the vishya which is enjoyed by the jiva. This vyapti of Paramatma can be contemplated on for anything that you have ever enjoyed with your sense organs. That is vyapti. To think of the vyapti guna as a string of rubies which you have decorated the mantapa with. Like that way we continue, and then we come to the flowers. That is the 14th verse which says Amanda Saurabhasmita Prasuna Dhama Valibhi Agatvaroru Kantibhi Ksharat Sudhabhirullasan. So he is saying in this mantapa there is further decorations that are being done by the devotee, or whoever is able to visualize it, they have to do it. And what are these? That the garlands of flowers are used to decorate that mantapa. And he is saying that these garlands of flowers, they are very special because they have a fragrance which is eternal. And this fragrance, along with it, it is radiant and it is filled with nectar. The flower, if it is filled with nectar, it is just blossomed. It is a just blossomed flower. So in this context, we can imagine the beautiful flowers that we know of, which are useful for our worship. That's why in all our shastras we remember that we should use flowers for worship which have a beautiful smell. They should have a good fragrance. The fragrance will radiate to the nasal passages of all the devotees who come there, and through the Paramatma's grace they obtain one happy feeling in their mind. Generally only when you go to the garden and smell the flowers, you feel that mood enhancement. But when it is offered to Paramatma, there is a special quality to it. It just not mood enhances, it uplifts your mind and makes it ready for further contemplation on Paramatma. So what are these flowers? Here we can also contemplate on these flowers as one evam adhyatmanishtam sarvam. Everything you can contemplate in a different way. It is a flower, okay. Now for the gems we said they are the gunas of God. For the flowers, what shall we say? So we just keep contemplating. Every flower is also called as sumana. So a flower means it is a sumana. It is a su-manasu. The mind itself is the flower. The mind is which is blossomed because of listening to the glory of Paramatma, because of singing the glory of Paramatma, contemplating on him, doing his Pada Seva, worshipping him, and all the other things that are there in the bhakti form. If we have done it, then our mind would have become into blossomed flower. Every time when you contemplate on one guna of Paramatma, your mind becomes vikasa, it becomes blossomed. If you have felt it, I mean, if you have done it, you will know it. I don't know how many have experienced it, but if it is not experienced, it doesn't matter. You will experience it when you start doing it. So that so manas means a manaso which has been used in the way it should. So means nirdushtavada manasu, means a flawless mind. What is a flawless mind? Firstly, the mind is flawless when it is free of all the negative qualities, all the arishat vargas. Then it is sumanas, so it can be offered. And that is the preparation which has already been told to us. And if you are in that state of prepared state, your mind would be ready to offer. At least arishat vargas are not there. That means you do kama, krodha, lobha, moha, mada, matsara. These 6 are not there, then your mind is enough, ready to go for worship of Paramatma. You send it as a flower to his pada, or you decorate the mantapa with that flower. Second, sumanas means nirdushtavada manasu. That means a flawless manasu is a manasu which does for what it is designed. Why did Paramatma design the manasu in this deha of the human form? He designed it so that mind should contemplate on the higher things of life, more than senses what is there. Are you able to contemplate on that using the human form? Then you have used it wisely. ದಿನಗಳ ಕಲೆವರೇ ಸುಜನರು ಅಂತಾರೆ. ಹೇಗೆ ಅಂತಂದರೆ, ಪರಮಾತ್ಮನ ಗುಣಗಳನ್ನು ಚಿಂತಿಸಿ ದಿನಗಳ ಕಳೆವರೇ ಸುಜನರು. ಸೊ ಅ ಪರ್ಸನ್ ಹೂ ಹ್ಯಾಸ್ ಬೀನ್ contemplating on Paramatma during his lifetimes, then his mind is used in the right way. So his mind becomes Sumanas. It can be offered to Paramatma as a sting. So all the times when you have done this worship of Paramatma, there is a new flower. That flower can be again offered to Paramatma. And then the Sumanas is that manas which can generate the feeling of happiness upon thinking of Paramatma. When you think about Paramatma, are you getting the happiness welling inside you? Are you able to feel the bliss about it? Your skin goes into a romanchana to show you why the skin goes, because it is without your volition that it happens. You are not knowing it. Why is the tears falling down from your eyes when you are thinking about God? When you don't have control, you don't want to do it, but it still comes out because of this welling up of the emotional bhakti, devotion towards Paramatma. And that is Sumanas, which is ready to be offered to Paramatma as a flower. This flower should be a garland, he says. It's not just one. It is a string of flowers and of different types. So when you are contemplating of Paramatma's Karuna, you get one type of bhava. When you are contemplating on Paramatma's Mahatmya, see, in the big universe, the earth is very small. And this small earth is being like a big thing for you. The small earth is, today morning, one of my Adhyatmic friends sent one video. It was by Carl Sagan. He is a modern day philosophist and astronomist. So astronomy tells you about the vastness of the world. So he says when he's a NASA scientist who was coming back to the earth, and he was asked, when you look at the earth from so far away, what do you feel? So he was telling, the earth is so minute and small when you compare to the vast darkness of the space that I can see here. And this earth is so small, but for each of us it is very huge. We have not traveled the earth. We don't know what is in the other end of the earth. Such a big place it is offering to us. This also you can see that Sukshmavagi, it is very tiny, but it has the ability to expand to any amount. So this greatness of God to make it happen like this for you is something which is a different type of emotion that you get. In Bhakti itself, there are many rasas. What type of rasa is welling up in you? Mahatmya is God's Mahatmya. In different ways, when you contemplate on it, different types of rasas come into your mind. So they become a string of flowers. They can be offered to Paramatma in the mantapa as a decoration for his mantapa. Still we have to now make one seat inside the mantapa. What is the seat now that he is telling in the 15th one? Asana, we say, illa simhasana, whatever you want to call it. In English, it is a very, very simple word called seat, which is not at all enough to describe that beautiful place where you are going to make Paramatma sit. Ihapi ratna nirmitam saroruham manoramam sutivramaccha satchadam vikaswaram virajate. Inside this virajate, he is saying there is one beautiful lotus which is made of ratna nirmitam. So this ratna can be anything, but Govindacharya says that it is made of pearl. You think about a pearl, the pearl is now into a lotus, and the lotus is a pearl lotus means we think of it very hard. It might be shining, but it's still hard. But this is not like that. He's saying this lotus, the lotus that is made of this valuable pearl is a very beautiful one, he says. And it is radiating light, and it is having fragrance which is very mesmerizing to you. And this vikaswaram means it is completely unfolded. The lotus is completely blossomed and it is mesmerizing you. Manas eleva kanti ullattu. Once you look at that lotus, you can't take your eyes away from it. That beautiful that lotus is, he's saying. So that lotus is full of fragrance. So now, till here we will do one contemplation. So all of you sit straight and contemplate, close your eyes and contemplate on what Acharya says, Narayan Panditacharya says. Breathe deeply, make yourself comfortable with your back straight. Focus yourself. Leave all the things that you are thinking about outside only. Let all the indriyas which are bringing you things from the outer world be shut down from their sources. And then contemplate on the Sushumna Nadi, which rises from the seat of the person, from the Vrishanasana to the Sahasrara, as a golden tube of light. This Sushumna Nadi is surrounded by 100 nadis, which are also thin pillars of light. Imagine this Sushumna Nadi to be very, very tiny, yet it can accommodate the huge mantapa that you are going to imagine inside it. The Nadi is very sukshma, but it has the Maha Avakasha. Narasimha travels about in this Nadi and he keeps the jiva safe in the body as far as it has to live in this body. Let us bow down to that Paramatma who is inside this Nadi and made it to have that Maha Avakasha. With a feeling of humility, that even though we are not able to see anything, we are only imagining that it is there, because the great people who saw it and whom we believe in have told us about it. And what you believe, you will see one day, if the time is right, if your sadhana is right, and if your focus is good. At the center of this pillar of light, contemplate on a beautiful mantapa. This mantapa itself is glowing. And as per yesterday, we were thinking about it, how these pillars of the mantapa are. They are the 4 pillars and the 5 kalashas that we usually see on any mantapa are the 9 gems of the worship which we can offer as the mantapa to Paramatma, because they are the jnana. Jnana Vembo Navaratnada mantapa. So what is that jnana? We have to contemplate to ourselves when we sit down for meditation. Now we will move forward with Narayana Panditacharya's verses. After the contemplation of the mantapa which is glowing, we decorate that mantapa first with strings of gems. These gems can be diamonds, pearls, rubies, whatever gems you think you like them, then you can decorate them. And these gems can be studded in gold. These gems can be studded into different shapes also, like flowers, like diamonds, like mangoes, whatever. Different shapes. After that, you come to the flowers and you offer that strings of garlands of flowers to decorate that mantapa. Usually, we all would have done this for Varamahalakshmi Puja. We decorate the mantapa with great care. The same way, inside this Sushumna Nadi, this mantapa has to be decorated with great care. And the flowers that you are going to string and decorate this mantapa should be fresh. They should be filled with nectar. They should have good fragrance and they should be luminous and radiant. So these are the qualities that the flower should have, he says, because it should be completely fresh, and that is the offering. It is a symbolic offering of your own mind. And your manasu is the offering that Paramatma wants. Manavanittare tannanivanu. After decorating this with flowers, then imagine one beautiful lotus inside the mantapa. And that lotus is made of pearl. This pearl that we usually see is very hard in nature. But this pearl which we are talking of is not the same type. It is a gem. When we say pearl, means in the whole ocean, vast ocean, you will get few of them. Like that way, this seat that you're going to talk about, it's very unique. In that way, it's a pearl, it's a gem. And this unique seat or asana that we are going to offer to Paramatma is a lotus seat. And this lotus is also very fresh, it is very soft, it is having a beautiful fragrance, and it's radiating light. All these things make us mesmerized. If you can smell the flower, imagine to what great heights of happiness you would be. It is getting, there is a very good smell, very good fragrance emanating from that heart lotus. I understand we all are not smelling it yet, but definitely there is a person, there are many people who have smelt it, who have got the fragrance, and that's why it's been described in that way. So when you get a fragrance and you get the look and you get the fullness of the rasa and the nectar in the flower, you will be mesmerized by it. That's natural. So he's saying, imagine that mesmerizing lotus which is inside that mantapa, which is sitting inside the center of your body. Now he goes on to look at that flower in more detail, which is described in the 16 and 17. We will do all these now. So you can open your eyes now. I've only taken you through a few verses so that we will have that experience of what has been told as an experience of devotion rather than just as a explanation of some verses. Now we come to 16th. He says, Vipapmatam cha dabratam parasya veshma bhutatam purasya madhya samstatam manishina shrutau sputam udaharanti yan gunan tadeta uttamottamam hridambujam divakara prakara diditi jwalat. This lotus is now described in two verses. So first of all, we described it in one verse simply. It is very mesmerizing. Now he is saying it is completely free of papa. Negative effects are not there in the lotus. This lotus is completely free of negativity. And it is very, very small and tiny. Because of course this lotus, it is in the Sushumna Nadi. And the Sushumna Nadi itself is Ativa Sukshma Nadi. Ativa Sukshma Rupini Tatapi Shaktito Hare. Even though it's a Sukshma, it has the power of Hari. So what is the power of Hari? Hari is Harati iti Hari, Aharati iti Hari. He removes the distress and he brings in the happiness. That papa is not there in this lotus because Paramatma's presence is there in this lotus. And this lotus, if you can contemplate on it, it will be freeing you from papa also. And he is saying this is very tiny and it is the nele money of Paramatma. He is saying Parasya Veshma Bhutata. Veshma means house. This lotus which is inside the Sushumna Nadi, inside the Mantapa, there is this beautiful lotus. No, this is the home of Paramatma in your body. He is sitting there. He is there. But the thing is, when he is there, if you cannot know it, then you don't obtain the use of that. But if you know it, you can be free of papa by contemplating on him continuously. Because that lotus itself is free of papa, he says. And it's completely pure. That lotus is completely pure. And it is in the center, he said. Purasya madhya samstatam. It is rightly inside the center of your body. And this is told not by me. Or Narayan Panditacharya says it's not just by me. Manishinaha shrutau sputam is saying that the manishis or the people who do manana, who deeply contemplate on the verses of the Vedas, they have told it that inside the human form there is a Sushumna Nadi. Inside the Sushumna Nadi, at the center of the Deha, there is a beautiful lotus. And that lotus is the seat of Paramatma. This is told by the Vedas itself, he is saying. So, we now recollect Acharya Madhva's words. He says, Sadhagamaika Vijnayam. To know Paramatma, you should have the Vedas with you. And here also, he has told Sadagamai Suyuktibi Sunishta. You have to have the Sadagamas with you. Here also, he is giving you that. I am not telling you some story which I have made up. This is having the Pramana of the Vedas. What I have told you just now, it is told by the seers who have studied the Vedas. And it udaharanti yan gunan tadedaduttamottamam. This lotus itself has so many more gunas that I want to tell you of, he saying. These gunas of that lotus are told as that it is completely radiant, it is the house of Paramatma, it is very, very small and tiny, yet it can afford Jiva the freedom from this samsara. To go to moksha, he has to contemplate on that lotus. He has to be able to see the lotus. If they can see the lotus, antarangadali hariya kaanadava huttu kurudano. Huttu kuruda means who is born without, who is born blind. Why would anyone say this? Because he is saying these eyes, they are taking you outside. Paranchi kani vyatiranat. It goes outside. But there is a lotus, there is the beautiful lotus inside you, which you have to see. Antaranga. Antarangada Hari means the Bimba Rupa. If you have not seen him, then it's as good as blind. Why did God give you this human form? Why did he give you the eyes, the ears and everything? He gave you so that you will go inwards and see him. That beautiful lotus is mesmerizing. It smells very well. It has a good fragrance which is radiating light also. Now he is saying, in the center of this lotus, you have to contemplate on that Paramatma who resides there. Amushya karnika putes sudipta ratna vishtaram chakasata parapuman adishtito shobhanam. Inside this mystical, beautiful lotus, there is one beautiful mani. Now, there is one more simhasana. The lotus itself is not just a simhasana. At the center of the lotus, there is one beautiful mani, he says. That mani or that jewel, it is beautifully radiating light and Paramatma is sitting on it. ಚೆಲುವಿನ ನೆಲೆಯಾದ ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಕುಳಿತಿದ್ದಾನೆ ಪರಮಪುರುಷ ನಾರಾಯಣ. Beautifully radiating light is something which keeps on coming again and again. This radiance is something unique to the lighted bodies. Whereas for us, we know everything is opaque. Light is not coming through our bodies. We don't see them. But here we have to contemplate on these objects that have been told to us as radiant. That itself is like quite mystifying to us. How can we think of a lotus as being radiant or sending out light everywhere? And then the money, how can the money be radiant? So that is the thing that tells us that this money or this lotus is not what you are thinking to be in the outside world. It's something more different because it is made of Jnanananda Maya. That lotus where Paramatma or the seat where Paramatma has to sit is Lakshmi Atmaka. So Lakshmi Atmaka means she is Nitya Muktalu Nirvikaralu. She is Nitya Nitya Jagadadare. So that Lakshmi has no, saying this lotus has no papa, he says. Nitya Muktalu Nirvikaralu. That is the form of lotus. The lotus is Lakshmi's form itself. He is telling you in a different way. You have to understand it through connections that we have through Devarnamas and other texts of the Siddhanta. So this Adhishtito means he is sitting inside that lotus on this, and Shobhanam, he looks very, very beautiful, magnificent. When we look at the image of God which we see in the temples also, we can't take off our eyes from that drishya. We want to keep on looking there because that mesmerizing form is having the presence of God inside it through the Pratishtapakas. So if you go to a place which has been, the Pratishtapana has been done by the great seers like Acharya Madhva in Udupi, and then Swayam Vyakta Kshetras like Tirupati, Badrinath, you can't take your eyes off because the real presence of God is inside there. So that way, the presence of God inside your lotus, heart lotus, can make you, if you are aware of it, can make you get focused. It is the, compliment that you get. complementary, everything will be there. No, some things, if you focus, you will get it automatically. If you understand and be aware that Paramatma is here and his greatness is this, that he can bring anyone whom he wants. He is Sankarshna. He can bring anyone he wants towards himself. So once you think of him in that way, he will attract you to come to him. That is his glory. And here they are saying Parama Purusha Narayana is sitting there. Chakasata Parapuman. Parapuman is Parama Purusha. And Parama Purusha is Narayana. So now we have got one name to catch hold of. When we get the name only, we are very happy because we know something about the name which we have studied. And now you can contemplate more about him. And first of all, this lotus is there, no? This lotus is described by Jagannath Dasuru in his Harikatamsara. He says, Ashtadala Sathridaya Kamaladishtitanu ತಾನಾಗಿ ಸರ್ವೋತ್ಕೃಷ್ಟ ಮಹಿಮನು ದಳಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಸಂಚರಿಸ್ತಾ ಒಳಗಿದ್ದು ದುಷ್ಟರಿಗೆ ದುರ್ಬುದ್ಧಿ ಕರ್ಮ ವಿಶಿಷ್ಟರಿಗೆ ಸುಜ್ಞಾನ ಸುಪುಷ್ಟಿಗೈಸುತ್ತ ಸಂತೈಪ. ದಿಸ್ ಇಸ್ ದ ಗ್ರೇಟ್ನೆಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಪರಮಾತ್ಮ. He is giving santasa. Santaipa means he gives santasa. What are you seeking? You get that. If you are seeking wealth, you will get wealth. If you are seeking jnana, you will get jnana. So, but whatever you want, if you think Paramatma is in my heart lotus, he is the giver of everything. Let me obtain this from him. Let me seek this from him. So, jnana bhakti kodu, idu onde saku anta keltare. That is the right way to pray. But if we are not in that way, still we are needing something in the world, you can ask for it. You will get what you want because that is the power of God. He is saying Supushti Gaisuta Santaipa. Whatever you want, without that you are weak. So he makes you charged. Supushti means he makes you charged up. You get enthusiastic when you are feeling sad, when you are feeling very I don't know what to do, I am very tired, I don't want to do anything. Then you think about this God who is sitting inside you. He will be able to charge you with the work. He will be able to make you enthusiastic about what you have to do in life, and it will be as a prayer to him by his grace. That he does for the sajjanas. Whereas for the dushta janas, he gives them more and more karma which they get entangled into. And now he is saying this Parama Purusha is residing in this heart lotus. For that I would like to recollect 2 namas and then we will conclude this session. So one nama is Pradhana Purusheshwara as explained by Prasanna Srinivas Dasuru. He says that Prakritigu Purushanigu Ishanagiruvanta Pradhana Purusheshwara Namo Namo Shrisha. ಬಂಧಹೇತು ಪ್ರಕೃತಿಗೂ ಬದ್ಧಮಾನ ಜೀವನಿಗೂ ಸತ್ತಾದಿ ದಾತನು ಪ್ರವರ್ತಕ ಸ್ವಾಮಿ ನಮೋ ಆತ್ಮ. ವಾಟ್ ಬೆಟರ್ ಡಿಸ್ಕ್ರಿಪ್ಷನ್ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಯು ಗಿವ್ ಆಫ್ ಹಿಮ್? He is telling he is Shri Sha, Lakshmipati, always accepting the seva of Lakshmi. He is sitting on that lotus. Lotus is the Lakshmi seva to him. And she is doing what? She is doing the bandhana to the jivas. Bandha hetu is Prakriti. The 3 gunas are the bandha hetus. Bandha hetu means the reason for us to be bound in samsara are the 3 gunas. And the 3 gunas are charged by Mahalakshmi as Shri, Bhu and Durga. And Shri, Bhu, Durga Rupas are charged by Paramatma. So he is the bandha hetu Prakriti Gu. The Prakriti is the reason for us to be in bondage. But for Paramatma, he is the Sattadi Data to that Prakriti also. Sattadi means, Satta means iruvike or existence. He gives the existence, he gives the sustenance, he gives the pravritti, what they have to do. Everything is given by Paramatma. That is told as he sits inside, no? And he gives the pravritti, what they have to do, at what time they have to do, where they have to do. Everything is controlled by this Swami, Pradhana Purusheshwara. And then we come to Padvanabha Parama Purusha. Padvanabha is that Paranjoti Swarupa. So he is glowing beautifully. And that glowing beautiful Paramatma who resides in your heart lotus is Padvanabha. Who is Padvanabha? He is the one who created the universe itself. Padmanabha, from his lotus, from his nabi came the lotus, and through the lotus there was Brahma, and Brahma was made to create the entire universe. So Paramatma is the creator, he is the sustainer, because that nabi is the sustenance of the entire Brahmanda. He is Nirashraya, Sarvashraya. Nirashraya because he doesn't need any sustenance. Sarvashraya because he sustains every being in the world that he has created. And created means the jiva is not created, it is immortal. But the jiva gets associated with the Pancha Bhautika Deha and calls to be created. So this goes on for eternal time. Padmanabha keeps creating. When the time is ripe, when it is ripe, he destroys it, and during the middle period, he sustains it. That Pradhana Purusheshwara, imagine how his greatness is. He is sitting inside your heart lotus. That Parama Purusha who has no equal, who is controlling the entire cosmos and beyond. He controls time, he controls dharma, he controls jiva, he controls everything that you know. So, with this, we think about that great Sri Hari to be sitting on that seat which is in the lotus, and we will do the Samarpana for today. Smad Guru Antargata Bharati Ramana Mukhya Pranantargata Shri Lakshmi Narayana Preranya Lakshmi Narayana Prityartham Sri Krishna Arpanamastu. Hare Srinivasa.